Our top story tonight, one of our nation's heroes abandoned. New details emerging on the Navy SEAL who shot and killed Osama bin Laden. Esquire magazine and the Center for Investigative Reporting have released a 27-page article today with fresh details on the raid and what exactly happened to bin Laden's shooter after retiring last September. Here is the troubling headline of that article. The man who killed bin Laden is screwed. Why? Well, the former Navy SEAL, who to this day remains anonymous, says the military stiffed him. He says he's out on his own with no pension, no health care, and no protection for his family. Joining me now, Pete Hegseth, CEO of Concerned Veterans of America. Great to have you back on the show. Always appreciate your help. I want to read you something from the Esquire magazine article. I know you have your questions about the reporting, but here's what they say about the man they describe as the shooter. What is much harder to understand, right, is that a man with hundreds of successful war missions, one of the most decorated combat veterans of our age, who capped his career by terminating bin Laden, has no landing pad in civilian life. Nothing. No pension, no health care, no protection for himself or his family. And of course, the story, this long story, interviews him at length where he talks about how he has no health care. No pension. He was in service for 16 years. Admittedly, he left early, but now nothing. What do you make of that?
Well, I'll tell you, I read the whole story. It is gripping, and it is a powerful depiction of the difficulty of transition into civilian life. I mean, here's the guy who literally put 2 bullets into the head of Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, and now he's transitioning into civilian life and looking at the complete difficulty, especially amongst elite soldiers, these Navy SEALs whose lives have been totally classified as secret missions they can't talk about, and now his life would be threatened if his name is known. So he's got a whole nother set of circumstances that a vet wouldn't have. It powerfully demonstrates
this is the guy that the president himself described as the best of the best. Everybody in the administration had nothing but accolades for this group of guys. Here is the guy who manages to take down our number one enemy, and we can't take care of him? We can spend tens of millions of dollars on Zero Dark 30, on the books that have been out about this raid, but this guy, we can't help him?
Yeah, you know what? He is exemplary of, in many ways, the bloated bureaucracy that a lot of our guys face when they leave and try to go to the VA or get involved in government programs that are supposed to provide them to transition. These are big government institutions meant to take soldiers coming off the battlefield and transition them, and instead they wait in long lines. They don't get the care they need. They don't have enough mental health professionals. All the problems you face when a bureaucracy consumes itself, as opposed to being a 20th century consumer-focused institution, which it should be, especially for a guy like this.
Absolutely. Here's what the President, Barack Obama, had to say. Here's his promise to veterans. No one who fights overseas for this country should ever have to fight for a job. It's not just a job this guy is talking about. He's talking about basics, health care. He had an entire career in service. What does he have to show for it? Nothing. How would you rate the job that we are doing in this country for our veterans right now?
Not good enough. Not good enough because we've got over 900,000 waiting in line for their claims right now at the VA. Not good enough because a guy like this doesn't know where to turn. And the reality is the VA does provide 5 years of combat of health care for a guy like this. There are ways for transition assistance, but a lot of people fall through the cracks because the system is full of holes, and we pump more money at a problem without fundamentally reforming the way the VA does business, dragging it into the digital age. You've got a pencil and paper bureaucracy in many places that hasn't digitized records. They don't transition smoothly from the Department of Defense. So you got to literally look at the Department of Veterans Affairs and say we're gonna change the way we do business, because we should be customer focused to a guy like this who has served his nation for 16 years. Yeah, he didn't wait to 20. He could have waited to 20 and get the full benefit. But that doesn't change what we owe him in ensuring his basic health needs are met.
We owe him a lot, and his wife says she's thinking about changing her name because there's a huge danger for these guys, right? If anybody finds out who they are, they've got a bolt bag in the house so that they can run out at any time. They're living in fear and with no help. And I think it's just embarrassing, and it's a shame, and we should do better than that.
It's not the way it should be. We did a tour through Concerned Vets for America called the We Can Do Better Tour, because we can for veterans and we must, and this is a powerful example of it.
Absolute pleasure having you on the show tonight. Thanks for coming on.
Thank
We'll
you.
follow this. If you hear anything about it, let us know, Pete.
You got it.
Thank you. Meanwhile,